Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Miscellaneous Gab, and today we will be reviewing the Severance Season 2 complete trailer. Now, a couple months ago, I made a review on the teaser trailer. Today, with 1 week left to go, we will be reviewing the full trailer. Now, I know it's been out for a couple weeks or a month really, but I have been putting my heart and soul into my Dune prophecy videos, trying to keep up with the release schedule just for like 100 people to watch those videos. Not only am I late to the game reviewing Severance, but as much as I want to review Severance as each episode comes out, I don't know if that's sustainable for me personally. There's just too much competition out there with the big channels that are reviewing, who have early access to the episodes. So unless this trailer review gets like a bajillion views on it and everyone elevates my subscriber count to 10,000, I will probably be reviewing the season at the end of the season so that I can focus on a really awesome Dune video I have on the docket, a Harry Potter video, and even a horror video. I hate horror movies. I am going in raw. I am raw dogging this trailer right now with you. Without further ado. Okay, so right away from the subtitles, it's saying a guy named Mr. Drummond is speaking. That doesn't immediately ring a bell. If he was mentioned at all in season 1, then he's definitely a higher up at Lumen. But let's see what we have. So we have the crew here. That does look like an outfit that Helly has worn before. Now, a lot of her outfits look similar, so this could be a flashback. This could be something that has already happened, or it could be, something new with her in this new season. Everyone does look very determined, very like. So we do have this cliff here. There's 4 people on the cliff. We can't really see who they are. This suggests some external meaning point outside of Lumen, so that is already exciting, something clandestine. Their work will be remembered. Mr. Christopher Walken here, who plays Bert, Irving's lover. It's great to see him, knowing that he's not gone out of the picture and that he probably will be someone integral to what's going to happen next. He looks pissed. He's giving very much Emperor Shaddam in Dune vibes. So their work will be remembered as one of the greatest moments of this planet. I assume he's talking about the Severance Project, where those people who are willing to sacrifice part of their brain lobes to be part of this advancement in human history. We see Mark running away, doors closing on Milchick. Okay, so that almost makes me feel like a lot of that's just happening before, setting the stage. Maybe this is the Mr. Drummond is speaking at some press conference to do damage control after the Helly outburst at the gala. So back to these whitewashed, sterile walls.
Mr. Scout.
Mark's jolting face in the elevator reminds me of what we saw in the teaser trailer, where he's very in shock, right? Because he's waking up immediately after he realizes she's alive, that Miss Casey, his wife, is alive.
I know you're still weighing whether to return to Lumen.
Okay, so that's new. That is new. We have him gone. He has been either let go, or maybe they let him quit to shut him up. Maybe they offered him a fat severance package. Milchick is in Mark's home. He's still running. Probably running to get to Miss Casey.
But the Mark I've come to know is happy.
Hello, is anyone there? Is the board on?
Ooh, okay, so he is trying to contact the board. Pretty obvious there. I think with the Milchick conversation saying the Mark I know is happy, perhaps the Audi Mark, the realization about what's happening with Gemma, with Miss Casey, is too much. Maybe he does indeed learn the truth about her, that she is some science experiment. Maybe she did have that she donated her body to science, and this is like a reanimated corpse. Maybe she's an Inferi. Maybe they're going Voldemort, Horcrux, Inferi level on there, and he's learned some like horrific truth about her. Maybe she's a Gola, roping in the Dune references here. Maybe he's learned some horrific truth about her state that has depressed the poor man even further than he was before. So maybe it's going back to the beginning, like, hey, you're unhappy, you're depressed. Instead of being an unhappy, depressed, alcoholic man for 24 hours a day, you only really have to do it for 8.
Marcus from Macro.
Interesting that we have back-to-back confrontations between Milchick and Mark, both on the outside and on the inside. We see just in Milchick's expression that he is like the overlord of the macro data refinement people, versus on the outside, the treatment of the Audis is so much different, really like they're these VIPs.
What?
Love the imagery. This show, I'm not normally one that notices things like that. I'm more of like the storyteller, not necessarily the visual cinematography, but you can't deny how beautifully shot this film is. Really just these like halves, the bifurcation of the Lumen lot. Chef's kiss.
You all did was one of the most painful moments in the history of this company.
Ooh, what's that painting? So we do know that they almost use art as a way to inform or divide the employees of Lumen. We saw that last season with this war between departments. Do know that they use art to spread propaganda and tell stories within Lumen.
It's in the history of this company.
So we do have Milchick reprimanding them. We see a very hesitant Helly coming back. It's like that kid that does something wrong and is like, goes to tell their mom. That's what she's giving right now.
What the hell?
What the hell?
But the four...
So based on all four of their expressions, Irving, yeah, it looks like they're kind of surprised. The what the hell, he looks a little shooketh right here, or maybe it's just everyone's like being scolded, walking back with their tail between their legs. We don't know.
But the four of you have become known as the
Okay, so maybe this really is from this season.
face of Severance reform.
The innies blow the whistle. Okay, wow. The world has come out to say thank you. The innies blow the whistle. Interesting that this is a redacted copy. Less than a week has passed since 4 Lumen workers brought the notion of severance reform to the world's attention, and already the world has come out to say thank you. A celebration was held, blah, blah, blah. Mark S., Helly R., Irving B., and Dylan G., the famous innies. In the wake of last week's revolution, Lumen has become implementing global reform to ensure their happiness and safeties of the innies. So we already get their PR crisis team has touched this. They are spinning it quite well, in fact, not knowing any of the details.
Okay, so we're not in trouble?
I don't think so. Milchick said we're famous.
Okay, so maybe that was them all hesitant, getting sent back.
All of us equally, or one of us is like the star? So what the hell?
I'm so curious to know when that shot from Mark coming back to like the new team will be shown. Maybe that's shown at the end. Maybe that happens at the end of the series. Maybe this is really in the immediate aftermath.
What the hell did you guys
So where are they?
see up there?
So I don't know what room this is that they're in here. I don't know what these are. Maybe a projector?
But what the hell did you guys see up
They're
there?
catching up. We have Irving with his painting. So prediction that we'll learn a lot more about Irving's history, maybe his PTSD. A lot of people think he's been one of the OG severed employees who's had to be reset a couple times because he is painting that punishment hall. So all that punishment hall. It's not our world up there. I think he's speaking to the fact that his lover, his boyfriend, his love interest is with a partner, and that can't happen. And that does feel like one of the only happinesses in his life, unfortunately. My Audi's wife died a few years ago, so he's at the bar. We know Audi Mark Loki has a drinking problem.
Audi's wife died a few years ago. Except the woman is Miss Casey.
This looks like Audi Mark's expression. It's so interesting because when he's talking about it here, he looks like innie Mark, where he's almost like a kid. We've talked about that before, where they're almost like children because they know things, but they don't know things. So he's like, guys, guess what? Like, this is crazy. The woman is Miss Casey. But then we go here, and this looks like the pain of a man who has lived through tragedy. This looks like a Lumen copier, and again, that this is drawn by hand, so it looks like something that maybe innie Mark is doing.
What are you gonna do?
I gotta get her out of here.
Mark? Your innie said she's alive.
This is obscene.
I didn't want to be sure.
So it almost seems like Audi Mark is in denial a little bit. So I wonder when that scene comes in with Milchick, where Milchick is trying to convince him to come back to work. Maybe Lumen is able to cover this up like really fast. Maybe the cover up happens first and then the fracturing, the remembering, the missing, the plan, because they are not getting them in trouble. The innies are able to collude more and figure this out. So we see he's going after Mrs. Selvig to be like, yo, what the fuck, lady?
Why did you do this? What is this all about?
That's a really good question. Why did you do this? That is what we want to know about Mrs. Selvig. So I'm very curious about her past, about what's going on with her, where she comes into all of this, where she stands with Lumen after the heroic save, if you will, that she was able to pull out of her hat at the end of the last season. If I were Mark's sister, I would be going after that woman for like running away with my baby. There would be hell to pay, definitely legality involved, or just vigilante justice, taking things into my own hands.
Do you know something about Gemma?
So we get some flashbacks.
There'll be no honeymoon ending for you.
Again, I love, like, then we have Mrs. Cobel. This sounds so evil. This sounds so horrible and ominous. The way that the Audis are treated versus the innies by the same people who interact with both on the inside. I think that's what kind of makes Lumen truly evil in some ways is we saw it with Milchick, now we see it with Mrs. Cobel, Mrs. Selvig, how she's treating innie Mark. Just look at these eyes versus the treatment of Audi Mark. So we go back to this cliff. Okay, now we get that Mr. Drummond or whatever, their work will be remembered. Okay, that must be him.
Be remembered as one of the greatest moments of this planet.
Okay, we see the numbers in macro data refinement. Maybe we can learn a little bit more about what they actually do. Is he referring to their work? A lot of people guess that the work in macro data refinement is like work on themselves. Some people think it's just a placeholder because they are the experiment. There's no work being done. So is he referring to their work or their reform? Interesting. Irving's doing his thing. Irving and Bert. Okay, we're back with the goats. Now, the goats have been a big mystery. Last trailer, something I missed was like goat droppings in the hallway. That was one thing I just didn't really catch that I have at a separate watch. So we do know goats are a thing. They're very symbolic. What is going on with the goats? There's a full room of goats. Maybe the goats were the first test subjects here. So now you don't value them, you fear them. We get this boardroom scene that we saw with Mrs. Cobel / Selvig in the trailer where we saw the heli's shadow reflected in the surface, but now we can actually see she's walking into this meeting. She's still wearing her gala dress. This is probably where we'll start the season.
We fear no one.
Still getting the idea that outside Heli is low-key evil. Just look at that scene. We fear no one. So she didn't deny that she doesn't value them, and them meaning herself, the severed employees, but she also doesn't fear them. Seems like Heli has a lot riding on her. She has some daddy issues. Her dad or grandfather, whoever the hell that was last season, is a total certified creep. She's trying to prove something. Because she is the one, was she getting pressured, or is she just like that much of a zealot for the Lumen legacy, for her family's legacy?
Fear no one.
Ooh, nice.
I'm tightening the leash.
Milchick's tightening the leash. Okay, no more melon parties, guys. No more defiant jazz. Tightening the leash makes me really think that the immediate aftermath is that they all think they're gonna get in trouble. They're not in trouble. Instead, they're spun as like, hey, you guys did something amazing. You're famous. How cool is that? You are famous. And then some of it starts to trickle, and maybe the Audis are meeting, and then things start to unravel. So we had a big unraveling, huge cliffhanger season 1. My guess is that it will all be cleaned up relatively quickly. Business as usual, and then things start to unravel once more. Mark is looking for Miss Casey, and maybe that is when Milchick says he's tightening the leash. And then it ends with them having to separate them.
We let this happen to Miss Casey.
What does that say? Who is
To
alive?
Miss Casey.
Who is alive? What is this contraption? A light? Is that a sexual scene?
Gonna step up when it happens to us.
We got some
Step up when
claymation.
it happens
An Irving retirement party, or is it a flashback from the times that he's been reset?
to us.
Looks like an employee. Looks like someone who's ringing a bell for the goats. And maybe she's getting tortured as well. Ooh, Milchick. Freaking Milchick is the fashionista diva of this show. Is that the defiant lady that killed that security guy last season? Because the people who were working with the original severed dude whose spot Helly took, I'm blanking on names here. It's been a while since we have met up with the resistance on the outside, but we know these people are not afraid to get their hands dirty to overthrow Lumen. Whoa, 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 whoa. This is giving very like Satan worship cult. I don't like it. He's typing some things, so maybe he's using his success from the first book to open the jar, if you will, the cookie jar on Lumen. I feel like this is something to do with macro data, or it's a brainwave. I don't know. What do you think?
Goodbye, Mark.
Goodbye, Mark S.
Wait!
Ooh. Ooh.
My name is Miss Huang.
Okay, goodbye, Mark S. So we have Mark coming back. He's leaving. He's coming back. Is he being fired? He's asked to. So all these, the timeline is very confusing here. Miss Huang, we have a new manager.
Stay here as deputy manager. Mark W.
Why are you a child?
Because of when I was born.
Ooh. That feels really weird and dark. Okay, so a couple thoughts here. Now that I'm thinking about it, the whole "you're famous" thing, let's go back to that. Is this, okay, because we know that Gala was like a private Lumen situation. Maybe this never got out to the public, and maybe that is all fake. The "we're famous" plotline is fake as a way of kind of playing the good cop with the innies, because they know things are so tense that if they spin it, hey, you know what, you guys actually are bringing reform to Lumen. Congratulations on what you did. Now everything's good, get back to work. I'm wondering if maybe that was just a complete farce, just to satisfy the innies, because we already know the way they treat the innies is very childlike. Like, you get a melon party, we get a dance, you guys are famous, look how awesome this is, guys. And then maybe that's the first plan and that doesn't work. So that's when Milchick says he's tightening the leash. Other thing, this kid at the end, weird. Is she somebody's child? Is she Mark and Miss Casey's child, or is she too young? I almost don't want to analyze this too much or really see what everyone else is saying, because I want to be surprised. So all I know is that it looks like they're going to be addressing the cliffhanger from the last season, which is amazing. I hate when shows end on a cliffhanger or a movie ends on a cliffhanger and then it doesn't pick right back up, or so much of it is happening off screen, like we saw with the second season of House of the Dragon. So much happens off screen. These consequences, the follow-up, it's just there. It's there for us to see. I am so excited. We have 1 week until Severance. How excited are you? I would love to review this episode by episode, but I've kind of learned my lesson with the last two shows. I've reviewed episode by episode, so I will probably wait until everything is out to make a recap. But if you like this video, if you want to see more, subscribe to my channel, let me know what you think, and I'm so excited to talk Severance with you. I'm just so freaking out. I wish we could all have a party together, all my nice subscribers, and watch this, because I love it when people are as equally excited about Severance as me. I do think Severance is one of the best shows I've ever seen. Severance, Succession, Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 5.5. So I'm sure I missed some things. These are just my initial thoughts. Can't wait. 1 more week, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.